Boy, oh boy, Xbox have done goofed. Again. At this point, the comedy of errors that has forsaken Xbox has become literally like cursed level, like actual supernatural cursed level. I don't know if the boy Bill Gates sold his soul to the devil for 10 years of success during the 360 era, or maybe your other boy Phil Spencer is actually an inside man working for the other side. But whatever it is, the launch of the Xbox Series consoles has been nothing short of a shit show and a disappointment to fans for 3 fucking years now. A quick recap to get you up to speed for those of you that hadn't noticed that your brand new console has nothing to play on it. Nothing by Xbox anyway. The Xbox Series X and S launched in 2020, and while fans were promised it would launch with Halo Infinite, it did not. Halo Infinite was delayed a year, meaning the brand new consoles from Xbox launched with Microsoft Flight Simulator, a game that had already been out on PC almost a year. I mean, I don't have time to fit all the problematic things onto this list, so here's like a speedier version. Halo Infinite launches a year later in 2021, but releases literally unfinished. Not just technically, but literally without co-op mode. 2022 gets even worse, not because of another shitty release, but because they released nothing. Absolutely nothing. Xbox sheepishly appear at the Game Awards that year, but they have 0 games up for awards for the first time ever. E3 2022, though, promises were made. Everything you see at this E3 showcase will be playable in the next 12 months, they said.
For the first time ever, our entire show is focused on games you can play over the next 12 months.
They show off a bunch of games, one of them being Starfield, so maybe 2023 is going to be the year. Starfield delayed past the 12 months that they said. Nice one. 2023 arrives, the big year for Xbox, the comeback. Xbox Game Pass sales revealed to have stagnated for the first time since it launched. It stopped growing. Xbox hardware is down 30% in sales from the Xbox One, which also sold like shit compared to its peers. Ugh. Redfall drops, and it's an abomination. It's broken, it's messy, it's boring. That brings us to now, just mere days away from the launch of Starfield. It may even be out by the time I've edited this video. My god, if you fuck Starfield up, I don't think I will ever speak the word Xbox again. That being said, I am considering actually buying a Series X just for that game. Anyway, that's just the backstory. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is the latest Xbox failure. From a decision probably made 4 years ago that is now coming back to bite whole chunks out of its own ass. And in the process is literally handing out free wins for Sony. And that is Xbox Feature Parity. So what is Xbox Feature Parity, otherwise known as the Xbox Series S Parity Promise? Well, at the beginning of the current console generation, Microsoft made a bold play, presumably to try and leapfrog PlayStation in its early sales figures. Unlike Sony's approach of having a disc and digital only edition for the PlayStation 5, Microsoft decided to go with 2 consoles split by their muscles, raw power. Whilst the Series X was a mighty Kratos-like beast that stood tall in specs next to the PS5, if not lacking some, well, Kratos. Also like the PS5, this one will cost you an actual kidney, or 450 Great British pounds. The Xbox Series S, however, was positioned more like a Spider-Man, still impressively powerful, but relied on a few neat tricks to show its might. Yet, unfortunately, was also lacking Spider-Man. This was an affordable option, trading some horsepower for a lower price point. An impressive £250 to be exact. And whilst exciting at the time, the reveal did come with one question on everybody's lips. Will the Series S lack of power mean that next generation games will have gameplay features cut in order to be able to run on the budget console? But Phil and the gang saw this one coming, and that is where the Xbox parity promise was made. Microsoft committed to maintaining feature parity across both Series X and S consoles, ensuring that the gaming experience remained consistent regardless of the console variant. In layman's terms, Xbox would only release one version of the game, and they promised that it would be fully playable with all features across both consoles. Now, over time, it's become evident that upholding that promise wasn't going to be as straightforward as it seemed. Well, fucking obviously. If you make a console that's half the power of the other console, then you can pretty much directly correlate that to its life expectancy. So if you expect the Series X to have, say, a 10-year life cycle, then you can pretty much there or thereabouts expect the Series S to become pretty obsolete around the 5-year mark. I guess obsolete is probably not the right word, just more like outdated. And Xbox will have known this. They're not that stupid. And it'll be somewhere in the business plan that, let's say 5-6 years into the Series X life cycle, they would combat this by releasing an Xbox Series X Pro version, a more powerful version of the Series X, and then the original Series X would drop in price. But what Xbox Series S owners, and presumably Xbox themselves, didn't bank on was that the first 3 years of those good 5 years that the Xbox Series S would have would be like the video game graveyard. Dark, empty, and void of life. Developers have already begun encountering hurdles developing next-gen games with the Series S's technical capabilities, with claims as early as October 2022 being made by visual effects artist Ian McClure, who claimed, "It might sound broken, but the reason you're hearing it a lot right now is because many developers have been sitting in meetings for the past year desperately trying to get Series S launch requirements to be dropped. Studios have been through one development cycle where the Series S turned out to be an albatross around the neck of production, and now that games are firmly being developed with new consoles in mind, teams do not want to repeat the process." Remedy Entertainment has also more recently spoken out about the issue, but the most recent and most downright shocking example comes from the developers of the highly anticipated Baldurs Gate 3. This game released last month on PC to absolutely raving mad reviews. This thing is currently sat with a Metascore of 97, and the game's console release is hotly anticipated, dropping on August 31st. Well, except on Xbox. The Xbox version of the game has been delayed because of the difficulties in implementing split-screen functionality on the Series S. Michael Dowse, the director of publishing at Larian Studios, highlighted the issue on Twitter and put it pretty fucking plainly about why this has been a nightmare to develop. We've said many times in the past that the issue is getting split screen working on the Series S, which is taking more time but is in progress. This is a huge technical hurdle, but we are unable to release the game on the ecosystem without this feature. We cannot remove the split screen feature because we're obliged to launch with feature parity, and so continue to try and make it work. We have quite a few engineers working very hard to do what no other RPG of this scale has achieved: seamless drop-in, drop-out co-op on Series S. We hope to have an update by the end of the year. It doesn't sound promising. Here we fucking go again. Another broken cart on the Xbox roller coaster, leaving players dangling upside down on the loop-de-loop, faces turning purple. Another instance where loyal paying customers who literally paid the price for the console in the first place are now paying the price for Xbox's own shortcomings. And of course, the commitment to feature parity now means that not just Series S owners, but also Series X owners who paid twice the price might have to wait until 2024 to play what is likely going to be 2023's Game of the Year. The inability to simply remove the split screen feature has put both developers and players in a stinking, reeking, shitty position, especially when many players probably won't even use this feature. I mean, yeah, it's a great feature to have, but let's be honest, most of you who want to play this game with your mates are going to be doing it from the comfort of your own home, with your headset on, in your PJs, with a can of beer and a 6-pack of Quavers. Because that, my friends, is 2023. So the players are fucked. The developers are fucked. But you know who's most fucked? Microsoft. And we know this is nothing new. For some time now, the Xbox ecosystem has found itself wading through its own excrement. And with each trudge through their own shit, they find themselves sinking deeper and deeper. And this is no different. There are two paths forward. The first is to reconsider their stance on feature parity. However, untangling this situation is complex. Removing the demand for parity could have a ripple effect across the ecosystem and raise concerns about A, fairness to the customer, i.e. should a game that has features cut have the same price point as the version that includes these features, especially when you lot promised this was going to be a situation that would never arise. And there's no way this is going to happen. There's absolutely no way that Xbox are suddenly going to start churning out Xbox Series S only games and Xbox Series X only games, especially making that U-turn mid life cycle. And B, well, as simple as it gets really, if Xbox change their stance on it now, they risk disillusioning their ever dwindling fan base by making a U-turn on the only actual promise that they have kept since the launch of the console. So if they take this path, they sink deeper into their own shit. So what's the other path? Well, that is So the other path is sticking to their guns, and that's what they're going to do, at least for this release. We're too far on now. But by doing this, yes, they maintain the promise that they made to consumers, and whilst it might not be as they imagined, like when they said we promised to release all games with all features for both consoles, they neglected to mention that that might eventually mean that you won't get those games till 6 months after everyone else, or more. But disregarding that fact on technicality alone, they're not breaking any promises, right? What they are doing though is probably much fucking worse, because essentially what they're doing here is handing out free wins for Sony. And honestly, you couldn't write this shit, it couldn't get any worse. Sony pay literal millions to third-party developers to get timed exclusives on games, to give players the incentive to buy games on the PlayStation first because you can get it here 6 months early. But PlayStation haven't paid a dime for this, yet they are technically getting console exclusivity of this game for at least 6 months. And the icing on the cake is that it's not like this game is like Super Lucky's Tale or some shit like that. This is probably going to be Game of the Year. This is most definitely going to be the biggest third-party launch of the year. I bet Jim Ryan and the gang can't fucking believe it. They will be absolutely pissing themselves at the idiocy of this situation. Xbox. So if Xbox continue down this path, and it's looking like they will, then they sink deeper into their own shit. We're talking about visiting the Titanic in a homemade capsule levels of sinking into their own shit. So there you have it, another episode of Xbox Can't Get It Right. What are your thoughts on the issue? Do you think Xbox feature parity is crucial, or should there be more flexibility? Let us know in the comments below. I swear God, Xbox, Starfield is your last fucking chance. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your mates. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on insightful opinions from a fat bloke from Yorkshire. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.